Hello and welcome to another Roaming Norway YouTube video. Last year I asked the question if you should buy a BMW i3 in 2024. Things have changed and I think we have seen the biggest year yet for affordable EVs with the Renault 5, the Hyundai Inster and the Citroën and many other cheap electric cars available on the market, also from China of course. And there are so many more affordable EVs on the road in Europe and China, not necessarily the US just yet, but I assume some will come soon. So we are going to revisit the BMW i3 and talk about if it's worth buying this car, now used because it's discontinued, in 2025. The BMW i3 production started in 2013 and ended in 2022. So it's a very early EV, and to be honest, this is noticeable in the day-to-day life because there are no dog mode, there is no proper route planner, and there are many other issues with this car that wouldn't have been present if they built this car on a newer platform. For example, the new upcoming BMW Neue Klasse platform, I assume that will have a bunch of improvements over this kind of old electric car now. Still, this one is a 2019 model and it's the i3S, so it's a little bit more sporty and it has the largest battery ever fitted in a BMW i3. I think it's around 42 kilowatt hours. It's marketed as 120 amp hours, which is quite interesting from BMW here. This car you would have to buy used because it's discontinued, but other cars like the Renault 5 or the Hyundai Inster or the Citroën EC3, those are cheap new cars and they have prices that are 10k, 20k euros lower than this car when it was new. But this car you have to buy used, so it's difficult to compare a car that you have to buy used with a car that you have to buy new, because the prices are entirely different. But you need to see the value in having a new car with warranties, probable repairs, and like the cost of ownership is lower for a new car, but then you have a larger depreciation than a used car, so it's something that you have to weigh up. So if you have already made your decision to buy a new car, you can't consider the BMW i3. But if you are like me, looking at different cars in the market and looking at used cars and new cars and weighing up the benefits and downside of buying a used car, this is the perfect video for you. I would say that this car is kind of in its depreciation sweet spot. There are of course more depreciation to be had on these cars, especially as we get these new cheaper electric cars. Who wants a used BMW i3 with the liabilities that comes with this one when the battery warranty runs out, which is an super expensive repair on this car. I'm thinking 20k euros. The car is not even worth the price of the battery replacement in this case, so it's something to consider. Do you want to buy an out of warranty car? Well, then of course you can do that, and you can probably buy warranties, third-party warranties, or have it as a part of your insurance. There are many solutions to this, but it's very of course different between the countries when it comes to like insurances and stuff, so I can't really recommend anything specific. So the BMW i3 is a solid car. I haven't heard of any failed batteries, I haven't heard of any failed motors, but there are other stuff that's starting to fail on this car. For example, the window switch, the window elevator in this door was actually replaced very recently, 500 euros at a third-party repair shop, but they actually didn't manage to put the panels completely back together. You can see this one here, so it's making a little bit of noise, which is super annoying. Other stuff that needs to be done is actually service. So if we go here, you can see that we have brake fluid and vehicle check. I think the brake fluid is, it says change overdue for the brake fluid and vehicle check. And this is also at least 500-600 euros to get this fixed at the repair shop. You can use a third party for this as well. So I just wanted to say that this is an aging car, and even if you get a brand new one, you still have to deal with warranties, or if you get close to warranties, you will have more depreciation. So that's something to consider, used versus a new car. Can this car be competitive in 2025? It has no route planner, it has 50 kilowatt max DC charging, 7.4 kilowatt max AC charging, as far as I know. Yes, it can compete, because I'm very happy to say that this is a fun car to drive, and especially the S version. I recommend getting the S version with the sport mode that you have here, with the more horsepower in the rear, and you also can reduce the traction control. I have programmed it to a key here, so this is a fun car to drive. It's fast enough, so it's competitive in that sense. It's probably one of the faster small electric cars from that era. It's much faster than the E-Up and other cars. It's wrong to say that, because the Model S existed at the time, and the Model S is of course faster, but that's an entirely different price point and entirely different set of issues if you buy a used Model S. The tires in this car are expensive because the tires are rare. There is a super strange setup on this car with 195 in the rear and 175 in the front. If we compare this to newer electric cars, those have more standard wheel setups and tire setups. And of course they are early in their life cycle, and the tires will be supplied in plenty of tires in the configurations that, for example, the Renault 5 uses. No issues getting those for years and years and years. But as these cars go out of production, it actually went out of production like 3 years ago now. Times move so fast, and the tires are getting rarer and rarer and more expensive, which is a major downside of buying this car, because this car also eats tires, especially in the rear, being a rear-wheel drive vehicle. A benefit of this car over a Renault 5 would be that this is a rear-wheel drive car. I think that's extremely fun. It's extremely nice. If you buy a Renault 5, you will get a front-wheel drive, which is probably fine. It's probably set up like that for a reason. But rear-wheel drive is always very fun, so that's also important to note that many of these, the Hyundai Inster is also four-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, so you have to actually look at the drivetrains of those cheaper electric cars and see if this has the value proposition you are looking for. The interior here is actually pretty premium and pretty cool as well. You have this fabric material, you have real leather, I think it's olive tanned sustainable leather. You have this kind of hemp material here, you have the wood material here, you have the carbon fiber here, of course, and yeah, just tons of great materials in this car that you probably won't get in the cheaper, newer electric cars. You will probably get more, I don't know, hard plastics, or you will at least not get real leather. Nobody uses real leather anymore. So if you want real cow leather hide, you have to get the BMW i3 in this price category, of course. So the interior actually feels pretty premium. The seats are not my favorite. I've never really liked the seats here, and the seating position is a little bit too high as well. But from like a quality standpoint, this interior holds up pretty well. You can see there is some wear and tear on the leather, but you would expect that after those years. But newer cars have more sustainable materials, so if you care about having proper good quality materials, and also in locations that isn't that normal, I would say, you have like a leather dashboard here, which is very nice. The BMW i3 is for you, because the other cars have much cheaper materials. For example, the Renault 5 has much better range than this car. This car has, as I mentioned, 280 kilometers VLTP range, The Renault 5, you can get it at up to 411 kilometers WLTP. That's a significant boost and quite impressive considering that the battery size is just a little bit larger. So if you want more range, you probably have to go for one of the newer electric cars. It's also worth mentioning the degradation on this car. On used electric cars, you have degradation. You usually have like 5-10% the first 2 to 3 years, and then it kind of tapers off, settling in at around 12% to 13% degradation. This car has less degradation, and this is because BMW actually has a large buffer in the top, so these cars don't see that much degradation, which is awesome and makes it a better value on the used market. But it's still something to consider, because you get much more range with, for example, the Renault 5 or other more modern electric cars. I mentioned it briefly, but it has 50 kilowatt fast charging. For example, the Renault 5 has 80 kilowatts or 100 kilowatts on the larger battery, but that's just peak charging speed. The BMW actually has a pretty flat curve. It's 50 kilowatt all the way, and on a 42 or around 40 kilowatt hour battery, it's actually charging significantly faster than it would if it had like a larger, properly sized electric car battery for the modern era. But other more modern electric cars charge faster, and of course they have better battery management. They have preconditioning. This car doesn't have preconditioning to the fast charger, and it doesn't really need it either, but it's not with the times. The charging speed of 50 kilowatts is not good enough in my opinion. Of course, when the car came out, it was revolutionary. Now you should aim for at least 100 kilowatts in my opinion, maybe more. But these are small, cheaper commuter cars, so maybe I expect too much. I just want to note that with a newer electric car, you will get faster charging, you will get faster charging stops, and you will get a better road trip experience than this BMW i3. This is a 4-seater. Other smaller electric cars are, not in all cases, but can be 5-seaters. So this is a disadvantage of this car if you are looking at having 5 people in the car. Not that these small commuter or urban electric cars, I don't really like the word urban, because I would use this for a long road trip, and I've done so multiple times. But at least, not that you would want many people in the rear seats of a car this size anyways. But here you can see this is a 4-seater. It's not a 5-seater, and it's important to note. It also has suicide doors, which suck in parking garages, but for getting into the rear seat, it's actually quite nice, and the rear legroom is quite nice in this car. If I remember correctly, the rear legroom of the BMW i3 here is better than the Volvo EX30, and it's also better than the Renault 5, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that, but the rear legroom here is actually quite okay. So that's an advantage of the BMW i3. The suicide door is a disadvantage in my opinion. I like normal doors much better. And the BMW i3 is not a tiny car. You can see that you have tons of space here regardless. So that's something I like about the BMW i3, is that it looks small and it's easy to park. It's perfect in the cities, but it still has more than enough space. You can have a dog crate here, no problem, if you don't have a large dog. And you can still have people in the back seats here with okay legroom, not amazing. It's just a little bit let down with the suicide doors in my opinion. And there is a reason why newer, smaller cars don't use these suicide doors. Would I buy a BMW i3 in 2025? Well, it's more difficult than ever due to newer electric cars in the more affordable price category. I think it's a matter of if you want a used car with the depreciation, or if you want to buy a new car or lease a new car. It's very popular to lease electric cars now, and I think that's something that you have to consider when looking at the BMW i3 in 2025. I think it's slightly different from 2024, because in 2024 we didn't really have fun small electric cars widely available on the market, at least here in Europe. But now there is more competition than ever, and I think you need to actually consider if you want a used electric car like this one, which has depreciated, but it's fun to drive. It goes far enough for most people. It's the perfect urban commuter, but I'm also a big believer that you can take this on a longer road trip if you want to. I have multiple videos where I show you how to integrate a better route planner to fix the infotainment, which are the infotainment is years behind, and you have to use Apple CarPlay, which I'm not really a huge fan of. A lot of people like it though, and it has Apple CarPlay, so if you use that, that's perfect for you. I think that was a short update for me on the BMW i3. Stay tuned because there will be a ton of other small electric cars on this channel. I love small fun electric cars, and this one is fun. Don't get me wrong, it's extremely fun. It just got more competition than ever due to the smaller cheap electric cars that are available on the market. I also forgot to mention the Skoda Elroq, which came out recently. And yeah, so there is a ton of competition, and BMW doesn't have a modern offering to come with in this market. So of course this is a king of the used market, but it has a ton of competition now with the new electric cars that came out. So it's a difficult choice for sure, but it's fun to drive, it's unique, it has the carbon fiber chassis, it has a soul, it's very modern in the drivetrain sense compared to other cars at the time. Now that I've driven a Tesla so much, I know how a perfect electric drivetrain should be, but of course it's a great gear selector, it's great for just hauling packages, doing daily errands. I did a video over on Autospec where I drove through Bergen. Perfect city car, but also okay for long trips. It's just a little bit let down by the charging, and the route planner is horrendous. Thank you so much for watching Roaming Norway. As I mentioned, you will see more videos on smaller electric cars on this channel, on Autospec reviews. I will make some videos there as well, and on my Norwegian channel. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe.